Okay, this is number 3, and our differential equation is dy dx is equal to the square root of x, and we are given an initial condition, y of 4 is 0. So again, our initial condition, right, that means that 4 comma 0 is a point it's a point that satisfies the solution to this differential equation. So let's go ahead and integrate. That's how we are going to find the general solution. But first, if you'd like to emphasize the kind of inverse properties, we know that this guy, this is really d dx of y, right? The derivative of y with respect to x. So I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite that. And the goal is we want to take, so let me get maybe my pink again here, is we want to take the integral of both sides, and it's gonna be with respect to dx. And what I want you to see is that here's the integral and here is the derivative, so these guys are inverse functions. So so we know this is gone. And we're just left with y, or if you would like to write y of x. And here we want to integrate the square root of x with respect to dx. Now, one thing I want you to notice is this, maybe pick a different color here. This function here, right? This is the square root function. The integral, when we integrate a function, we want to use the power rule, so we really want a power, and we do have a power here. We just want to rewrite it as x to the 1/2. Right? Remember that the square root of x is the same thing as x to the 1/2. The cube root of x is x to the 1/3, and so forth. The nth root, right? The nth root of x is x to the 1/n. So again, just some algebraic properties. So if we want to integrate, this is a pretty simple integral. So we have x to the raised to the 1/2 plus 1, right? Because we're adding 1, we're integrating. So we have 1/2 plus 1, and we have our constant of integration. And so 1 plus 1/2 is 1.5, right? Or another way of writing it, right? 3/2, right? Half of $3 is 150. And this is fine, although the book would like you to write this as 2/3 x to the 3/2 plus c, because, right, this 3/2, anytime you divide by a fraction, you're really multiplying by the reciprocal. So the problem asked, I believe you want the particular solution again. Okay, so we have, let's see, make this, whoops. So y of 4 is 0, right, according to our initial condition. Right, so I'm going to use this guy. So remember that this is a function of x. So x is 0, right? This means, oops, right, 4 comma 0 lies on y of x. So we have y of 4, all right, x is 4, right, our x and y coordinates. So 2/3, 4 raised to the 3/2 plus c. And y of 4 is 0. And 4 to the 3/2, that's the same thing as saying, so it's power over index. So we have a 4, the square, well, we have a root and a 4, and we have a power, which is here, and the index is really there. We don't have to write the 2, but I want to write it in just to emphasize if you need review. And let's see, what do we have here? 0 equals 2/3. We can think of this as, we can also write it like this. That's the square root of 4, which is 2, but we have to cube that guy. And whoops, 0 equals 2/3 times 2 cubed. 2 cubed is 8. And so this is 16/3 plus c, and of course if we just solve for c, whoops, that's simply negative 16/3. So we found our c, so now we can write a unique or particular solution that satisfies this differential equation with a given initial condition. So let's just make this smaller. So let's see, we had, here is our guy, right? We're just going to replace the c with our, I believe 16/3 it was. So 2/3. So y of x equals 2/3 x to the 3/2 plus negative 16/3, but we can just simply write 2/3 x to the 3/2 minus 16/3. So this should be fine. Usually the book wants it in powers, your expressions in powers, but if they want you to go back to roots, you can just write, let's see, we have power over index, so you can say all of this cubed. Okay, but this is the final solution. This should be okay. Okay, so that's number 3 in your textbook. Okay, so one last thing, oops, I want you to note is you can factor a third out of here if you'd like. All right, there is a third that we can factor out, and so if you factor out the third, you're just left with 2x to the 3/2 minus 16. And so that's the answer that the book has in the back. So if you're wondering, these are the same, right? You're just multiplying in a third, or again factoring out a third.